This is a story about how easily a wrongful eviction can happen to Georgia families.
I just don't understand how the whole thing can happen. I really, really don't.
How the whole thing happened to homeowner Sheila Gibson in just one moment. But first, let's get all caught up on the trend of stolen homes. For nearly a year, Atlanta News First Investigates revealed the progression of property fraud across the metro, all connected to deed theft.
Right now, we're in a crisis.
Thieves stealing the titles to homes. Old Georgia law made it possible. Under that state policy to file or transfer a deed on a house, no identification was required. Simply put, the state did not require anyone to actually prove they own the very property they're filing paperwork on.
Sierra, honestly, I'm speechless. That's insane.
Here are some of the deed theft allegations we tracked. Ultimately, we were credited for helping get a new state law passed, one that now requires proof for identification when filing deed paperwork. But since then, we've learned of a similar yet separate loophole when filing eviction paperwork. Turns out, no one has to prove they own the very property they're seeking an eviction on. Okay, now you're all caught up. Sandy Springs' grandmother, Sheila Gibson.
It upsets me just to even talk about it. I feel so violated.
Violated because at any moment she feels she could be kicked out of her Sandy Springs house on Riverside Drive.
Although I'm not affluent, we kind of, did a lot of sacrificing to buy the house.
Real estate records show she's been the owner since 2020, paying
$480,000.
Okay. She's the owner, yet when the 69-year-old pulled up to her driveway in December 2022, this sign was posted, scheduled to be evicted immediately by the Fulton County Marshal's Department. Magistrate court documents show deputies tried to execute the eviction once before in October too, but they were unable to gain access to the property. She has her faulty gate to thank.
Had it not been for that gate, we could have come home and all of our possessions would have been on the street.
The case, a complicated web of paperwork problems. The suspect, Michael James Bruff. Michael filed paperwork in the Fulton County Clerk's office claiming he was the agent of the Sandy Springs home, that the occupants had past due rent of $12,000. But remember, Sheila owns her house. She does not owe anyone rent, records confirm. What's more, the suspect even filed more paperwork alleging he'd previously served an initial eviction notice months earlier, claiming the defendant's failure to file answer in court should grant him possession of the property. Sheila says it's all untrue.
To me, it's so crazy how someone can just walk into an office, provide no identification. No one bothers to check on the computers that are in the office to make sure this person actually owns the home, if they have title. Nothing was done.
The alleged fake landlord was able to file all this paperwork without having to prove anything because state law does not explicitly require it when initially filing for evictions. As long as those initial documents are completely filled out, county clerks like Shay Alexander must accept it.
They e-file it, so it's an electronic process. They could be at their kitchen table.
Wow.
And they send it to us. We look to see if it's in proper form.
And so there's not even like identification, like they don't have to submit an ID?
Not at all.
They don't have to show a deed that
any
they own the
proof,
property?
Nothing.
It's the honor system, and the way it's all set up, there's no way for anyone to submit proof. Additionally, Georgia clerks cannot investigate eviction documents or interrogate anyone who's filing them either. Only later would a judge or jury decide the facts of a case. Although so much remains at stake, current law limits the clerk's role.
So you understand the weight of the reality of these situations?
I understand. I am the clerk of Superior Court. I manage all documents for Fulton County. So you're talking about, it's not paper for me, it's people's lives.
After Sheila learned about the wrongful eviction proceeding against her family, she got Sandy Springs police involved.
Welcome to the zoo.
Hey, good morning.
Hi.
Officers filed the now criminal case as fraud, swindle, confidence game. Sheila then filed a civil suit against the suspect. The court ruled in her favor after suspect Michael James never responded.
For the property in Sandy Springs?
He did not respond to our attempts to reach him either. However, he's now appealing Sheila's civil court win. But why? It brings us back to that complex web. Public records suggest Michael James is possibly living in Fort Pierce, Florida, with the woman named Tabitha Coates. A previous 2009 unrelated civil suit identifies the pair as a couple. Fulton County public records reveal Tabitha once owned the Sandy Springs house in question. Michael also previously lived there. Back in 2018, the home was foreclosed and auctioned off after Tabitha failed to pay her mortgage loan. At that auction, an LLC won the highest bid, buying the home, then years later, selling it to Sheila. This case gets murkier. Sheila's attorneys allege in court filings that Tabitha went as far as recently forging a new deed, transferring the house's title back to herself. The problematic paperwork,
It's taken until I lost my hair.
not only disrupting Sheila's peace,
I don't sleep well. I'm anxious all the time.
but also exposing a loophole in the law.
This is like a criminal's paradise. If it's this easy, this is very easy what this guy's done.
Since we started our investigation, Sandy Springs police officially charged Michael James Broff with perjury, filing a false document, and forgery. They have not found or arrested him yet. Meanwhile, the Fulton Clerk's office confirms they are working on a property fraud task force in Metro Atlanta. To learn how to protect your house, text stolen home to 470-777 WANF. I'm Sierra Cummings. Atlanta News First investigates.